An arrogant cop slapped the wrong woman. She came back in uniform, and their world fell apart. Before we dive into this powerful story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give the video a like. It started like any other normal morning in the city. People were on their way to work, cafes were just opening, and everything felt calm. But inside a small police station in downtown Houston, a choice was about to be made, one that would turn several officers' lives upside down. Two police officers, well known for being rough and rude, were out on patrol. They believed they were untouchable, acting like the rules didn't apply to them, especially when dealing with regular people. What they didn't know was that their pride was about to come back and destroy them in a way they never saw coming. They spotted a woman standing near a parked car. She looked calm, confident, and dressed simply. They didn't recognize her. To them, she was just another person they could boss around. So, without asking anything, they went straight at her with aggression. What happened next shocked everyone. One officer slapped her across the face. The other one shoved her and shouted at her to leave. People nearby froze in shock. Some watched, others pulled out their phones, but no one stepped in. But here's what the officers didn't know. This woman wasn't just anyone. She was a high-ranking officer in the military police, and she wasn't the type to stay quiet. She didn't return in regular clothes. She came back in full uniform, and when she walked into that same police station, everything changed. Officer Parker and Officer Stevens were known in the city, not for being brave or kind, but for using their power to scare people. Complaints had built up over time, but nothing ever stuck. They had powerful connections and knew how to work the system. Their usual targets were those who had no voice and no way to fight back. But this time, they picked the wrong person, someone who had both the strength and the will to stand up to them. When they saw the woman next to the SUV, they didn't ask her anything. They judged her by her looks. Maybe she was homeless, maybe causing trouble, they thought. But the truth was, she was just waiting for her husband, who was inside a nearby bakery getting coffee. She was standing beside a government car with her official badge clearly placed on the dashboard. Still, the officers didn't care. They acted quickly, loudly, and violently. The slap echoed down the street like a gunshot. The woman stood still, shocked. She tried to speak, but Officer Parker grabbed her arm and accused her of resisting. Officer Stevens warned her to leave or be arrested. She looked around. People were filming, but no one helped. Then she quietly said something that made both officers stop. "You just made the biggest mistake of your lives." She didn't shout. She didn't hit back. She walked away. Calm, controlled, powerful. Her silence wasn't fear, it was strength. The officers laughed, thinking it was over, but they had no idea that everything they thought they controlled was about to fall apart. Later that day, the doors of that same police station swung open. Everyone turned. A woman in a dark green military police uniform stepped in. She stood tall, her face serious, her eyes focused. Behind her walked two men from Internal Affairs. It was the same woman they had slapped just hours earlier. But now she wasn't just someone in plain clothes. She was Major Elena Brooks, a high-ranking officer in the United States Military Police Corps. She walked straight into the captain's office without hesitation. The two Internal Affairs officers stayed back to speak with other staff. The captain, surprised and confused, stood up when she entered. Major Brooks calmly took off her military cap, placed it on the desk, and explained everything that had happened. The officers who had attacked her were called into the office. When they saw her in full uniform, they froze. At first, they tried to deny it all, but it was no use. Several bystanders had already sent videos to Internal Affairs. The footage was clear, and the sound was even clearer. There was no escape. They hadn't just hit a random person, they had assaulted a respected military police officer. And worse, they had done it while wearing their own police uniforms, representing the very justice system they had now embarrassed. Major Brooks never raised her voice. She didn't insult them or make threats. She simply said, "You will answer for what you've done, and this time your badges won't protect you." The news spread quickly. Headlines everywhere read, "Police officers assault military officer." Social media blew up with anger. The videos went viral. People all over the country demanded justice. Even politicians stepped in. The mayor had no choice but to make a public statement promising a full investigation. Though she was the victim, Major Brooks stayed away from the cameras. She turned down interviews. She believed justice should be handled through the law, not through media outrage. But her silence only made people respect her more. She became a symbol of quiet courage. The two officers were suspended and the investigation grew deeper. More victims came forward with stories about their past abuse. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed with reporters, lawyers, and members of the public. The officers faced serious charges: assault, abuse of power, and misconduct. But this case wasn't just about two bad cops. It sparked something much bigger. Internal Affairs began digging into the entire department. Dozens of old complaints were reopened. The police chief stepped down. New reforms were announced. Training programs were redesigned. But the most powerful moment came when Major Brooks took the witness stand. She described the slap, the pain, the silence of the crowd, and how she chose not to hit back, but to stand tall and seek justice instead. Her words touched everyone in the courtroom. Even the judge paused before reading the final verdict. Both officers were found guilty. Their badges were taken away, and they were sentenced to time behind bars. But their punishment wasn't just legal, it was public. They became the face of everything wrong with unchecked police power. Major Brooks, on the other hand, was honored. She received the Medal of Civil Courage from the mayor, not for fighting back with fists, but for standing up with honor. Her story became part of training lessons in police academies across the country. She returned to duty stronger than ever and more respected than before. This story isn't just about two bad officers. It's about the strength of character. It's a lesson in how quiet courage can shake broken systems. And it reminds us that sometimes the strongest people are the ones who don't shout or fight, but who still choose justice even when the system tries to silence them. Thank you for watching this powerful story of courage, justice, and redemption. If you were inspired by Major Brooks's strength, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Her quiet bravery didn't just hold two corrupt officers accountable, it sparked a wave of change far beyond one courtroom. Let's keep telling stories that matter. Thank you for being part of this journey with Truth Over Skin.